Class 12 English, Chapter 7 The Interview, by Christopher Sylvester. The Interview Introduction. The Interview by Christopher Sylvester is an excerpt taken from his Penguin Book of Interviews. In this, he talks about various opinions of the celebrities regarding an interview, its functions, methods and merits. It also consists of an excerpt from an interview with the infamous writer Umberto Eco. The interview summary. The lesson begins with the introduction to interview as a commonplace of journalism since its invention, which was a little over 130 years ago, according to the author. It is not very surprising that people have very distinct opinions about the usage of interview. Some think of it in its highest form, whereas some people can't stand being interviewed. An interview leaves a lasting impression, and according to an old saying, when perceptions are made about a certain person, the original identity of his soul gets stolen. Famous celebrities, writers and artists have been heard criticizing interviews. Rudyard Kipling's wife wrote in her diary how their day in Boston was ruined by two reporters. Kipling considers interviewing an assault, a crime that should attract punishment. He believes that a respectable man would never ask or give an interview. There is an excerpt from the interview between Mukund, from the Hindu newspaper, and Umberto Eco, a professor at the University of Bologna in Italy, who had already acquired a formidable reputation as a scholar for his ideas on semiotics, the study of signs, literary interpretation, and medieval aesthetics, before he turned to writing fiction. The interview revolves around the success of his novel, The Name of the Rose, whose more than 10 million copies were sold in the market. The interviewer begins by asking him how Umberto manages to do so many different things, to which he replies by saying that he is doing the same thing. He further justifies and mentions that his books about children talk about peace and non-violence, which in the end reflect his interest in philosophy. Umberto identifies himself as an academic scholar who attends academic conferences during the week and writes novels on Sundays. It doesn't bother him that he is identified by others as a novelist and not a scholar, because he knows that it is difficult to reach millions of people with scholarly work. He believes there are empty spaces in one's life, just like there are empty spaces in atoms in the universe. He calls them interstices, and most of his productive work is done during that time. Talking about his novel, he mentions that it is not an easy read. It has a detective aspect to it, along with metaphysics, theology and medieval history. Also, he believes that had the novel been written 10 years earlier or later, it would have not seen such a huge success. Thus, the reason for its success still remains a mystery. Don't leave without giving a like to this video. And please subscribe to my channel to support my work. As always, thanks for watching. Bye bye.